Hi. Thank you again for tuning in. Faceless Podcast is Shepard here. Some of you call me Sheps, call me whatever you want, as long as it's not I'm most likely to respond. So, yeah, following up from my intro video, as you might call it, I thought let me just hit one of the topics that's maybe a bit contentious at the moment, especially with everything going on, the protesting, the riots, George Floyd, and police brutality, what's been going on at the moment. So I thought, you know what, let me just attack this conversation head on, give you some of my thoughts, my opinions, and I mean, I'm still going to try to keep the format as loose as possible. Again, I'm not a news channel. I'm just here to share my thoughts and my opinions on what's going on. So, the topic for today, the topic that I'll be speaking about, is Black Lives Matter. So, the organization versus the sentiment, where I stand within my beliefs and what I think about what's going on at the moment. I've had people ask me questions, Sheps. Why don't you go to the protests? Don't you care about Black lives? Why don't you post a black swear on your Instagram? I've had questions. So are you anti Black lives? Then are you saying Black lives? Like, I've had loads of questions. So I thought, you know what? Let me try to address the issue. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about Black Lives Matter, the organization versus the sentiment. So initially, I'll give you a bit of backstory. When the Black Lives Matter movement started, my views at the time were still very much left leaning, politically speaking. So I was for it. I was for it. You'd have saw me anything. It doesn't matter what it is. If Black Lives Matter was telling you that ice creams are racist, we would have went to the protest. We would have started fighting with Mr. Whippy. Because at that time, I was just thinking that's the man frame that I was in. But at the same time, when it first started, and to where it is today, I think they're two completely different things. So to just kind of make my points clear, I agree with Black Lives Matter, the sentiment, but I don't necessarily agree with everything the organization stands for. And what I'll do is I'll kind of break that down a little bit with regards to my thoughts and how I've kind of got there. So, by what do I mean by Black Lives Matter, the sentiment? So, the sentiment to me, and again, this is my thoughts. I've been able to take the information that's out there and kind of break it down into the two different segments. So, by me, the sentiment is the sentiment that yes, Black lives do matter. We've got unalienable rights was all created equal. So initially, in the sense of police brutality, where based on the information that I had at the time, thinking that black people are being hounded and attacked by the police. So by saying Black Lives Matter, we're just trying to raise awareness to the injustices that are going on within the black community and things surrounding that. So I agree with the sentiment in terms of Black lives do matter. um it doesn't just stop there. It's not just Black lives that do matter, but I can appreciate wanting to make that differentiation there to attack maybe the points that are specifically concerning the black community, regardless of what country that might be in, but mainly obviously America, and living in the UK. That was another thing. So that's the sentiment, and I agree with the sentiment. I want to fight injustice wherever it might be. However, by injustice, I don't mean like microaggressions. I don't mean if something was said that upsets you, then burn everything down. That's not what I mean by injustice. By injustice, I mean where the law is meant to be applied a certain way, and it's not being applied as such, or people have broken the law in order for them to gain the upper hand over. It could be black people, it could be whoever. Wherever there's an injustice, I firmly believe in. Okay, cool. We stand together as a people, as a community, as a nation, and we fight those injustices. So if there was an example, if there was a case, for example, where maybe, and this is hypothetically speaking, a random black guy, white guy just gets stopped by the police, gets put in prison 25 years, for no reason, absolutely no reason at all, and it's hyperbolic on purpose, then that's an injustice. We stand by that. We stand by that. However, if it's like some of the cases where maybe what the police done according to the law, they were justified in doing so. To me, we could look at it. I could like, and I always try to break down my thoughts into two methods of thinking. So I could take my emotions away, look at it objectively. So according to what the law says, according to how they acted, was this or was this not an injustice? But then at the same time, I'm human, so I can look at it and go, how I still don't know how I feel about that. So, and I reserve the right to change my mind. Obviously, depending on new information. So I'm not saying what I believe today will be the same as the video that you see me making in 3 years time. And I'm for, this is one of the reasons why I want to do this channel, so we can have these dialogues. So yeah, I believe in fighting injustices. I believe in standing together, black, white, red, maroon, whatever color you claim to be, whatever identity you are. As long as you kind of, we share the same sort of set of moral values, moral beliefs, because again, where we have to be careful is what might be morally correct here might not be correct in another country. So we'll probably touch on the issue of morality and at a later topic at a later date. But yeah, anyway, going back to Black Lives Matter. So I mean, why don't I support the organization? So I've got some issues, mainly with some of the co-founders, some of the information that's coming out. I'm anti-supremacist, so I'll be very clear about that. I believe we're all created equal. In the eyes of God, obviously being a Christian, but even taking my religion out of it, if you look at the laws as they stand today, we're all equal in the eyes of the law. Now we can speak about how it's applied and everything else, but again, we might go into that on a different date. But what I don't like about the organization as it stands today is there's a few points. So personally, I'm not for the narrative that they're pushing. I've had time to look at the stats. So, for example, take the UK for example, and again, Sargon of Akkad done a great video on this. I might put the link in the comments for those that want to see it, where they break down the statistics of how many people have actually died in police custody in the UK alone. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it was 10 in the last 13 years. So when we're looking at that statistically speaking, to me that doesn't represent a police force that's out to get or out to just kill black people. But that's not the narrative that I see being pushed. And my next video will be touching on the media, my distrust in the media, where that's come from, but I'll leave that for the next video. So looking at statistics such as that, and people go, oh, what about our representation in terms of the makeup we make demographically in the UK? But then again, you have to look at police interactions, and there'll always be debates around but in the over policing the areas with black people in it. So I think there's some fallacies that have been made, kind of like philosophically speaking, to kind of justify some of these points. And why it hurts me the most, and I won't lie, this is something that does hurt me, is you've got people that mean well. A lot of the protesters that went out to protest recently mean well. They genuinely do want to see justice. They genuinely do want to see the black community kind of rise from the position that we're at the moment, and not just the black community, other working class people rise in the stature and in the standards, the living standards, the success they achieve, for lack of a better term. And what I'm seeing is there's some people, black and white, who are using the fact that you've got people that mean well. They're using that in order to push their own success, in order to push their own narratives, in order to push themselves forward. And that I can't stand behind. So it's things like, for example, if you look in America now, the Hodge twins done a fantastic video on this. And I recommend you go watch this. On the next video, I'll put some of my recommendations, places that I think you could go see. Positive black voices who have got maybe a slightly different way of thinking than you. Hodge twins done a good thing on this. B Tatum, ABL, Larry Elder, they kind of touched on this, saying, okay, look, why is it that the donations that are being made to Black Lives Matter when you look at where they're going, they're not going back into the community. They're going to politicians. They're going to the Democratic Party, which historically was the party for racism and slavery. So I think about that and I look at that and I go, that's there's a question mark there. There's a question mark. Why is it that you've got certain people, Al Sharpton, for example, just take a look at his, and again, I'm not a news channel. I'm not here to be a news channel. I'm literally just processing my thoughts, trying to explain to whoever wants to listen why I might not support Black Lives Matter as a movement. You've got people like Al Sharpton who profit off this war that's going on. You've got certain people in the media that are painting the narrative of it's blacks versus whites. When if you speak, I've got loads of friends that have been to these protests that do believe in Black Lives Matter, and I know that's not what's in their heart. That's not what they think. They don't hate white people. But then when you've constantly got this narrative being pushed forward, eventually, at what point can you plead ignorance? At one point can you go, well, I'm supporting them, even though I don't agree with everything. Where else is that acceptable to do? It would be my question again. So, in the spirit of consistency, and again, I say these things now, I hope you call me out on it. If you ever catch me being inconsistent or lying, call me out on it. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to put this out, is so that I myself can be held accountable, not for anyone else's benefit, for my benefit. Like, frankly speaking, because I want to seek the truth, and go with the truth regardless of how it makes me feel, and then reconcile that later. But then I feel like at the moment, especially what Black Lives Matter is trying to do, is fight an emotional argument, setting up villains that can't be defeated. And I think, as much as I agree with the sentiment, the organization is not necessarily focusing on making impact where it really matters. They're not really focusing on making sure that the black community comes out of the situations that we find ourselves in. There are other issues that I think are more important. Not to say that police brutality is not important. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think there are other issues that rank higher in the list of importance of things that need to be addressed in our own communities, in order to uplift ourselves. So that's kind of in a nutshell, some of my grievances with Black Lives Matter. And again, if it changes, and they start taking better reflecting maybe what I feel like the more important issues are in the community, then I'll be for supporting them. It's not about me being right or wrong. It's just about me looking at the situation as it stands at the moment, and then me just looking at it going, okay, cool. I can't be, if I'm to hold myself to that standard of consistency that I'm trying to hold everyone else to, then I can't in good faith support the movement when they've got things that they're doing which I find not only morally questionable, but even to a level of deceit. So, and we'll go into other aspects kind of further along down the line. And another reason why, and again, I mentioned this in my last video. So the Faceless podcast, to me, why I wanted to do this podcast, was to promote diversity of thought, to promote people that think different, and that's okay. And what I'm seeing with this movement, and it's not just Black Lives Matter, I'm seeing it with kind of the extreme left, is this cancelling. If you don't agree with what I say, to the letter, to the T, you're cancelled. There's no more, don't feed your family, go starve. Like, and I don't agree with that. Because I believe if me and you disagree, there is a battleground for that disagreement. It's called debate. And good ideas will win out. Because I know me speaking right now, there's people that will be listening to me going, oh, you're completely wrong. Like, you don't understand what Black Lives Matter is at all. That's fair enough. Now bring that evidence forward and go, actually, Shepherd, you're wrong. You see, when you're saying the money's going to Democratic leaders who, so speaking in America specifically, Democratic leaders, politicians, who have been in power for 30 odd years but have done nothing for the community, question marks. If you say no, that's wrong, it's actually going to these causes, like the majority of the money is going to these causes, and look at the difference it's made, then I'll stand corrected and I'll go, okay, fair enough, maybe the information I got was wrong. That's something for me to then look at and go, okay, let me go check my sources and how have we got to this point. And mainly that's my main grievance with the organization. I can't stand behind them because I don't fully agree with number one, what they claim the main issues to be, number two, how they're going about trying to affect change. I'm a firm believer of facts, evidence, and affecting change through the legal system that we're prescribed to. So, and people go, no, I never voted, I never done it. That's on you. That's on you. Like, everyone's got a chance to vote. That's over the age of voting. And I'm tired of successful black people that are co-signing, endorsing this movement, that tell you that they made it out, but you can't make it out. They're special, that's why they made it out. You're not special, that's why you're oppressed. And personally, I appreciate this is anecdotal. The whole time I've lived in the UK, I've never experienced racism. Personally, myself, I've only been stopped by police 3 times. 2 of them were outside my house, and that's because I live in a council estate which is pretty active when it comes to certain things. And it was literally, I was outside my house, they stopped me. Where you going? I was right there. I live there. Show them my ID, show them my keys. Okay, mate, have a good day. That's been my interactions with police. I've been around where some of my other friends have been stopped. And again, I personally haven't seen acts of police brutality. I personally haven't seen anything that will show to me that, or that will make me believe that the system's out to get us. So that's why I believe we need to, if we've got these disagreements, we need to fight this battle on a debate stage. It happens in other places. Like I'm a big fan of kind of apologetics and philosophy and stuff, and I watch Christians and Muslims have a debate. They disagree on certain things. I've watched debates on Catholics and Protestants. I've watched debates on even this very topic. I'm trying to think of the name. I forgot the name, but it was a really, really good debate that I've seen arguing is anti-racism just as much of an issue as racism. And I've seen those debates happen, and this is happening obviously on an intellectual level. And what that does is it take someone like me, and again, I'm no one special. I'm just human, just the same as everyone else. Having those debates there where good arguments will win, I think that's a more positive way of affecting change. Because in order for us to get that change in the black community, we need everyone's support. We need everyone's support. And there'll be a lot of people that agree with some of the issues that we might discuss, but because there's a minority out there that's alienating people and telling people because you're white, you're racist, even if you say you're not racist, you're born racist. And these are some of the narratives, again, going to why I don't support the Black Lives Matter organization. Yeah, there's certain people, white people, who I know are not racist. I've grown up around white people. Like the council estate I grew up on is ethnically diverse. And these are some of the people that if someone else was to be racist to me, they'll throw the first punch before I get a chance to. And now for them, the very same people to be told, effectively, bend the knee or you're against us. I don't agree with that methodology. And again, I see that being pushed through the narrative of the Black Lives Matter organization. And again, I'll put that differentiation, the difference between the organization and the sentiment. The sentiment I still agree with. I still think there's issues that are facing the black community that we need to address, have that introspective look. And then once we get our own house in order, it will help to look at other issues. And obviously that's not to say ignore police brutality while it's going on until we fix everything that's wrong in our house, because that's not the case. Like, if my plumbing's broken but my next door neighbour's house is on fire, I'm going to leave the plumbing because that's not as important at the moment in my community than my next door neighbour's house. So I'm not saying ignore one for the other, but I'm saying that there's that hierarchy, and I don't believe that Black Lives Matter is accurately representing that hierarchy. And again, feel free to correct me. Like, I'm not here to try to preach and be a messiah. I'm here to just giving you my thoughts, giving you my opinions on some of these things that I think might be issues. And again, I'll try not to make the video too long. It's just once I start talking, it's a bit hard. It's a bit hard to stop, and I want to make sure that I've given my thoughts kind of a fair representation, and I'm always willing to be asked specifics, and I can't promise I'll get to everyone in the comments. We've got an Instagram channel as well that I'll put the link in the bio, in the description. Sorry. And feel free to message me specific questions, some of the topics that you might want to touch upon in the future, or even if you disagree and you've made a rebuttal video, let me know and I'll watch it. And as long as we're debating the points and you're not just out here trying to call me an Uncle Tom, trying to call me a coon, trying to call me a bootlicker, as long as you're not out here just trying to attack my character, then I will try my best to engage. I'll even share your video, and because I want to encourage that diversity of thoughts, and I firmly believe, as the black community, working class community, we've got hyper intelligent people who are able to do this, but you just need to be given the opportunity. So that's one of my reasons why I prefer to stand alone in this instance, with regards to maybe not prescribing to a certain organization or movement, and then just kind of giving my input, or lending my support as I see fit at the time, which is what I believe we should all be doing. I'm not for supporting cults. I'm not for supporting cults. And I'm afraid to say that's what the Black Lives Matter movement has started to become. And Tim Pool does a brilliant video on this, like kind of comparing what some people call religions or religious cults and the Black Lives Matter movement. So having Chance, for example, having this super villain, having the Messiah figure, having kind of on that. So I don't want to butcher his work. He done a very good job on it. Tim Pool, he done that job. I'll see if I can find the video, maybe post it in the description. But yeah. So in a nutshell, that's let me see if I've missed anything on here. Nah, yeah. So I mean, in a nutshell, that's why I'm with the sentiment of Black Lives Matter, but don't necessarily prescribe or subscribe to the organization. And I hope I've been able to make my thoughts very clear. I look forward to hearing your rebuttals, your disagreements. Again, don't. You could, if you attack my character, it's not gonna bother me. Doesn't do anything. It's not gonna help anyone else. Because if you're an idiot, you're a queen, you're this, you're that, you're this, and people know that already. You're not telling them anything new. But if you come with facts, come with points, come with debates, arguments, topics, I've got no problems with that. Again, it's the Faceless Podcast. Let's talk about it. Diversity of thoughts. Thank you for watching.